Terrence "Bud" Crawford really afraid of Manny Pacquiao? See full video. Article by Jeffers Isaac. The fight that some fans were looking forward to between welterweights Manny Pacquiao and Terrence Crawford won't be happening now after the investors from Abu Dhabi didn't come up with the revenue to make the fight happen. The fight would have been shown on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. It would have been Crawford's third pay-per-view event for his career and by far the biggest match for him. The Pacquiao vs. Crawford fight was supposed to have taken place on June 5 in the UAE. Pacquiao had signed his portion of the contract to make the fight happen. But Crawford hadn't signed, with the funds failing to come in. Crawford not signing is no big deal because there was no reason. Crawford had tunnel vision for the Pacquiao fight since his last fight against Kell Brook in late 2020. When asked after the fight if he were interested in Shawn Porter, Crawford made it clear that he wanted Pacquiao, and he felt confident he'd get the match. In hindsight, Crawford should have been realistic by choosing the easier match to put together against Porter. It's a big disappointment because top-ranked promoter Bob Arum had sounded so confident that the fight would happen when speaking about it months ago. Mike Coppinger revealed the news of the Pacquiao-Crawford deal collapsing. He's not saying what the next move will be for the two welterweights. For the 42-year-old Pacquiao, he must get back in the ring as soon as possible because he's been inactive since his 12-round split decision win over Keith Thurman in July 2019. Pacquiao can't afford to be too picky when choosing his next fight because he needs to get active before losing his skills. If Pacquiao wants a tune-up, Amir Khan would be perfect. He's been pushing for a fight with Manny for ages, and he's nearing the end of his career. It's less of an issue for Crawford, 33, to be sitting inactive because he last fought in November, beating former IBF 147 pounds champion Kell Brook by a fourth-round knockout. Crawford needed this fight to get a better deal in unification with IBF WBC champion Errol Spence Jr. That fight is doubtful to happen. If Crawford is willing to take a hard fight, he can face Shawn Porter, Virgil Ortiz Jr., Jaron Ennis, or Keith Thurman. Those are all pay-per-view worthy fights for Crawford if he's open to taking a risky fight. But in my opinion, Crawford not signing the contract is a very big deal. He's in his prime and he's claiming to be the best, so why not sign? Even if the fund didn't came up, he should have signed the contract to show the fans his willingness to fight. For a boxer, fighting the legendary Manny Pacquiao is a very big opportunity. Aside from fame, that day would be your biggest payday and it could give you a beautiful record on your resume as a boxer. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather vs. Logan Paul exhibition boxing match set for June in Miami on Showtime PPV. Article by Brent Brookhouse, CBS Boxing. The boxing exhibition between Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul, originally scheduled for February 20th before being postponed, is now set to take place June 6th from Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. Mayweather Promotions and Showtime Boxing both tweeted out confirmation of the event, which will air on Showtime pay-per-view. After the fight was initially announced, little was said about the event before the postponement earlier this year. At the time of the decision, Paul posted a video on his YouTube account, citing the impact of COVID-19 on attendance as the driving factor for the delay. The fight's still happening, Paul said. We want to have a packed arena somewhere and then the business side of things. We have to iron them out. He's got a lot of people on his team. Al Heyman got involved. If you know boxing, you know what that means for getting an actual deal done and figuring out a venue. I need as much practice, training, sparring under my belt against this guy. With every day that goes past, I get better and he gets older. On Tuesday night, it was confirmed the fight was back on. Mayweather, the greatest boxer of his generation, last stepped into a boxing ring in December 2018, facing Japanese kickboxer Tenshin Nasukawa.